You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Incoming transmission.
You're listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. The new conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the HoloNet on Lanterns Media Network. The millennial conservative resistance begins here.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the HoloNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. It is 4 p.m. Pacific time on the 2nd of September, 2018, in the year of our Lord. Now we come to it, folks, as the nation, really the mainstream media, mourns the loss of Senator John Sidney McCain III. The board is set, and the pieces are moving. Today we're going to talk about all the news stories that our mainstream media is so wrapped up in the death of the Maverick to even bother to tell you about. Now we're going to start real quick here on theblaze.com. Trump slashes funding to the United Nations Palestine Fund. Palestine, either way, it's a country, it doesn't exist. But saves taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a story from yesterday, 10 a.m. Probably went largely unmarked in the world, but it's a big deal. By Chris Enlow on The Blaze, the Trump administration announced Friday it is slashing all funding to a United Nations agency that provides aid to Palestinian refugees, calling the operation, quote, irredeemably flawed. Wow. We have a president who actually will come on and admit that there's no point in funding the Palestinians. We must alert the people.
Light the beacons! Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
You know, son of a... Every time I try to even do just something a little fun, I'm not funny. I really got to stop trying to be funny. But anyway, the move is a part of a broader effort to rein in U.S. assistance for the Palestinian Authority amid increased attacks by Palestinian terrorists in Israel. Just last month, the U.S. revoked more than $200 million in taxpayer-funded aid to the Palestinian Authority over concerns the money wasn't being used properly, and possibly it was being used to fund terrorism. Like, I don't know, setting up mortar emplacements on top of a school building, or, using children as human shields for rocket launchers, things like that, little things that everybody knows about, nobody cares to admit. For years, the U.S. has been the biggest contributor to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East, donating more than $350 million to the organization in 2017 alone. In January, the U.S. contributed $60 million to the fund, but U.S. officials were clear at the time that the United States was no longer willing to shoulder the very disproportionate share of UN RWA's cost that we had assumed for many years. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert said, probably butchering that last name. Fantastic move by the Trump administration. Fan-freaking-tastic move by the Trump administration. And you have to truly admire just the sheer testicular fortitude required to finally step up and listen to the American people. When he said during his campaigns and with all the campaign promises that we need to stop funding the people who want to kill us, there is no single greater group, except maybe the Iranians, that have touted kill the Americans since the Palestinians. And I mean, it's so gratifying to know that for the first time in my adult life, my tax dollars will not be used to try to destroy Israel. Isn't that a nice feeling? You can go to sleep tonight soundly, knowing that your hard work tax dollars, from the sweat of your brow, will not go towards striking American allies, striking Israel. I feel good about that. I really do. I feel good about that. This is one of those moments where we call out the good things that President Trump does and that his administration has accomplished. Now, as far as some of the bad things, this whole John McCain thing, man, there isn't really a good way that the administration could have handled this. And I think the mainstream media is absolutely abominable for creating a controversy surrounding how long the White House kept the flag at half-staff. Did you know that by the code of the flag for the death of a senator needs to be kept at half-staff for 2 days from the death of the sitting senator? So the flag at the White House and the flags in the District of Columbia are set to half-staff for 2 days. In the home state of the senator, the flag is kept at half-staff until they are interred. Okay? So this whole controversy surrounding the flag at full staff, the flag at half-staff, the White House was proceeding toward normal policy. There's actually an entire department of the government whose job it is to understand these procedures and these policies and these necessary displays of propriety. It is, I believe there's an office of heraldry, what's the word I'm looking for? It is in the State Department. Hey, AJ Davis, Common Sense Radio is listening. But it's, oh, geez. I'm going to think of it later, and it's going to bother me. But they have an entire office who just decides what is appropriate at what time. The Office of Protocol. God dang it. That was so frustrating. I'm sorry about that. I really need to... I really need to have like a list of $5 words in front of me. Protocol! Jeez, that's not even a $5 word. But there is an office in the State Department whose specific task it is just to understand the proper protocols for diplomatic and state functions. So this is codified that in Washington, D.C. and at the White House, the flag is held at half-staff for 2 days, and then it returns to full staff, which is exactly what happened. But no, somebody in the press seized upon that and said, President Trump must have ordered the flags back to full staff. No, President Trump didn't order the flags back to full staff. Standard protocol regarding a senator who's passed away ordered the flags back to full staff. Not everything is about President Trump. And if he did order a break in policy, oh wait, he did. Because he caved to the pressure on the left, and he said, okay, a lot of people are getting mad, so we're going to put the flags back down to half-staff until he's buried. We're going to put the flags back down to half-staff, because no matter how many times I point to the damn protocol, nobody's going to friggin' believe me that it's not personal. What kind of crap is that? And it's like 3 news cycles that they were covering this tiff between the White House and the McCain family. What a load of crap! And now all the media is just lolling their tongue out and just chomping at the bit over this crap. Here, I'll bring this up for you. Bill Clinton trolled for ogling pop star Ariana Grande at the funeral of the Queen of Soul. I really don't care. I couldn't possibly give less of a crap about, former President Bill Clinton, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and a man who should have no seat on that stage. Just sitting there and ogling Ariana Grande. I don't care, guys. I just do not care, even remotely. But back to Chris Enlow's story. Trump has slashed the funding from the Palestinian Authority, from the UNRWA. This is a good move. She said the United States will no longer commit further to funding this irredeemably flawed operation. UNRWA was established in 1949 in the wake of the Arab-Israeli War to deal with displaced and vulnerable Palestinian refugees, and they have been a frequent critic of Israel. Chris Gunness, spokesman for the organization, condemned the move. He said, "We reject in the strongest possible terms this criticism that UNRWA schools, health centers, and emergency assistance programs are, quote, irredeemably flawed," he said, according to CNN. Despite the fact that there are numerous occurrences where UNRWA schools have been used as bases from which to attack Israel. These schools in the Gaza Strip are some of the best constructed buildings in the Gaza Strip because they're continually repaired using our tax dollars. And yes, they are quite regularly used as a base of operations by Palestinian terror groups. There are mortars launched from the roofs of these buildings into Israel. And you think maybe the American people might want to stop funding that? I don't know about you. I am going to sleep like a baby tonight. Like a baby tonight. Knowing that my tax dollars are not going to kill the Jews. So, God bless Israel, and good job, President Trump. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to tell you about something new and cool on theholonet.com, and then we're going to come back and we're going to jump into what looks like it should be science fiction, but it's not. According to Fox News' Frank Miles, microwave weapons are eyed as the likely source of the mystery ailment that is affecting U.S. diplomats in Cuba, scientists now say. So they're shooting microwaves at us. That's new. We'll have that when we come back. You're listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. We're on Facebook Live, also on Twitter. Tweet at the HoloNet. Join us on Facebook Live, facebook.com/theholonet. I'm going to go ahead and tweet out the link to our live show right now. Come back from this break. Be just a second. Thanks. All right, you're listening to the HoloNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. I'm your host, Matt Holloway. I am going to drop a little bit of wisdom on you today. We've made some big changes on the holonet.com, and you'll be able to find them right about down here in this region here, below all of our stories. And when you're reading a story on the holonet.com, boom, you've got our related products, which you can pick up. These are conservative tomes. These are the sources of our knowledge when it comes to the conservative movement here in the United States, and some of them are just good fun. You'll see here the Constitution of the State of Arizona. You can pick that up. Biopic on Ted Kennedy, Identity Crisis, the 2016 presidential campaign, Rules for Radicals Defeated, and Understanding the Arizona Constitution. Now, these are ads by Amazon. Full disclosure, when you purchase something off of Amazon.com on the HoloNet, that does go towards supporting our page, supporting our content. So please, make sure you check that out on the HoloNet.com. And now, here's the really cool part, our recommended reading list. Now, I posted this back on Facebook a while back, and here we have all the must-haves. the Constitution of the United States and the Federalist Papers, the Bible Promise Book, New World Translation of the Bible, and holy crap, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Jerry Doyle, Ann Coulter, Bill O'Reilly. There's a lot of Beck on here. I read a lot of his stuff. Dinesh D'Souza, Greg Gutfeld, and of course Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. If you want to pick up any of these recommended books, you can do that on the holonet.com/p/Matt's reading list, or just go to the holonet.com, click recommended reading. Finally, to take on a little tour here to the special offers section on the holonet.com. We have a free trial from Audible. You get 2 free audiobooks. You can start your free month of Amazon Prime Video. You can download free Kindle reading app and get $3 towards your ebooks. Or start your free trial, your free 30-day trial of Amazon Prime. That's right, the Holonet is now a member of the Amazon affiliate program. So please, if you want to check out any of those great services, go to holonet.com, click special offers, and get that today. That's on the holonet.com. Now back to the show.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the Holonet on Lanterns Media Network. The millennial conservative resistance begins here.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the new millennial conservative resistance begins right here, right now, with you. You're listening to the Holonet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. Microwave weapons eyed as likely source of mystery ailments for U.S. diplomats in Cuba, scientists say. No, it's not about the ability to make a burrito from 2 miles away. We're talking about microwave weapons. A team of scientists has singled out what it claims left U.S. diplomats in Cuba sickened by mysterious ailments and symptoms in recent months, according to a new report. Douglas H. Smith, director of the Center of Brain Injury and Repair at the University of Pennsylvania, told the New York Times that microwaves, which can trick the brain into perceiving what might be ordinary sounds known as the Frey effect, named after the American scientist Alan H. Frey, most likely caused the trauma. The Times reported that scientists have known for decades the brain can perceive some microwaves as sounds. Everyone was relatively skeptical at first, and now everyone agrees there's something there. State Department told Fox News they're investigating the embassy's attacks. Their investigation's still ongoing. You see, some 24 American diplomats in Cuba have fallen ill as a result of the episodes with a perception of loud noises, including ringing, buzzing, and grinding, which were first made public last year and have been deemed specific attacks by the U.S. government, as Fox News and many other sources have previously reported. The incidents have resulted in a diplomatic rupture between Havana and Washington, as the Times noted. So, yeah, looking like a little bit of a misstep here by former President Barack Hussein Obama. Reopening that embassy in Havana, Cuba, seems to have put our diplomats back in the firing line. They're getting hit with microwaves. Now, this is actually something very, very interesting, and our own Army has deployed this stuff in the past. Let me see if I can find it. Area denial microwave. Yeah, here we go. You can actually research this and you find it online. It's called an active denial system, or an ADS. And Wired.com actually covered it. It's a non-lethal weapon system that was developed by the U.S. Army that causes you to basically want to run away. So on this, it's the Danger Room video. Spencer Ackerman for Wired gets zapped by a pain ray. So this basically sends high-frequency microwaves a good distance away, and it feels like your chest and neck get hit with an unbearable blast of steam heat, and that's because the truck-mounted active denial system, it's an energy weapon commonly known as a pain ray that turns electricity into millimeter wave radio frequency and heat. Lots and lots of heat. Basically, if you pose a threat at a military base, they can hit you with this, and they can disperse a crowd pretty much instantly. Now, it's never been fired, despite 15 years in development. It hasn't been used, but again, as the reporter for Wired says, it is unbearable. So, he can't see the pain ray. It's mounted on two big, goofy-looking trucks. One model is a tricked-out green Humvee with a huge flat backboard and a gun barrel. The other one is on a big 8-wheeled truck. Their handlers call the small one Ralph and the bigger one Pete for some reason. And they're 7 football fields away. 7 football fields away. There's no flash, there's no smell, there's no sound, and suddenly you feel like you're in front of a blast furnace. Now that's pretty friggin' wild. But when we think about it, our army already has this stuff and we're already using it. So what's to say that the Cubans, and any allies they may have, Russia, haven't been working on the same thing and aren't now utilizing it to target the American embassy in Havana? Only this is a much different system. Our system works by inducing a sensation of heat. It's non-lethal, non-permanently damaging. Unless, like, you bind and gag somebody and make them sit through it. Then I suppose they could probably get hurt. But it will induce you to run away. What they're talking about going on in Cuba is something far more sinister. It's something that imposes damage directly on your soft tissues through the use of microwave radiation, a focused microwave radiation that your body can perceive as a sound. They are deliberately seeking to impose brain damage on people. It's an entirely different animal, a far more sinister variant of the same technology, where the American version causes you to feel heat and makes you want to run away. What they're talking about are diplomats being exposed to in Havana can permanently damage you. People were treated for brain damage following exposure to this. And now we have the military coming out and saying, yeah, it's Cuba. It's definitely Cuba. They're hitting us with microwaves. Find me a time in history where this would not be considered an act of war. Cuba is actively attacking our embassy and our diplomats in Havana. That's some welcome. That's some evidence that the détente touted by the Obama administration has been successful. When they're shooting microwaves at us and inflicting brain damage on our diplomats. Yeah, we actually have it right here. New York Times. Diplomats in Cuba suffered brain injuries. Experts still don't know why. Link in the description. I'll make sure I include that here on the Facebook video just in case anybody thinks I'm making this crap up. Yes, they are actually causing brain damage to our diplomats. Now we know how. That it is microwave radiation impacting them that generates the sensation of sound and causes brain damage. So, what do? Do you protest? Do you go to the United Nations, who waggles a finger at Havana? Or do you yank our entire staff and impose severe sanctions, the likes of which have not been seen since the 1960s, because there is no Soviet Union to back them up now? We need to send a very loud and clear message to the Castro regime in Cuba that they picked a hell of a time to poke the bear. All right. A couple of people joining into the live stream here. If you want to join in, holonet.com. I'm sorry, facebook.com/holonet. You can also check us out on holonet.lanterns.buzz, theholonet.com. As I mentioned before, we've got the free trial set up for Audible, Amazon Prime, Amazon Music, and also Kindle. And that's on holonet.com. Click special offers on theholonet.com. Going to expand on this a little more. We go back to the story in February, and they say American diplomats appeared to have symptoms of a concussion without ever having received blows to their heads, medical experts have found. Diplomats were originally said to have been victims of a sonic attack, which the FBI reportedly ruled out. The experts' report did not solve the mystery. It did now. The incidents occurred in 2016 when 18 of the 21 affected diplomats reported hearing strange sounds in their homes or hotel rooms The noises were loud and sounded like buzzing or grinding metal or piercing squeals or humming. Many said they felt increased air pressure as if they were riding in a car with the windows rolled partway down. 3 diplomats said they felt a vibration. All but one reported immediate symptoms: headache, pain in one ear, loss of hearing. Days and weeks later, other symptoms emerged, including memory problems, an inability to concentrate, mood problems, headaches, and fatigue. State Department said researchers at the University of Pennsylvania investigated. The report confirmed neurological problems, including signs of what appears to be a concussion. The findings suggest a significant brain insult. Is that a bit like a cardiac event? What's this HMO speak? A significant brain insult. It's brain damage. The Cubans are inflicting brain damage on our diplomats. At what point do you roll out the Navy? I'm not a warmonger, man. I never have been. I really did hope that, the reopening of the Havana embassy would represent a move in Cuba toward normalization of relations with us, possibly a move toward greater freedom for the Cuban people. But no. All it's done is open the door to more shenanigans. Sad state of affairs. Incredibly sad state of affairs. Take your comments when we come back. When we come back from our quick little break here, I also wanted to delve into local news here in Arizona. And over the past couple of days, there may have been reports of a loud sucking noise that could be heard all the way from the California coast, hell, probably even into the Midwest. That sucking noise was the GOP establishment sucking every last molecule of oxygen out of the debate within the party and appointing the sweethearts of the establishment into every available seat. Now, we talked about it last week, about what Governor Doug Ducey needs to do in order to unite the party. Still no word from the office of the governor here in Arizona as to who will be appointed to fill the vacant seat of Senator John Sidney McCain III. More on that when we return. You're listening to the HoloNet Podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. Stick around.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
I see people coming together not for divisiveness of party or for dichotomy of thought, but for unity in principle. In the principles that founded our nation, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, ladies and gentlemen, those principles are under the sternest attack that we have seen in many generations. It has become a crime in this nation nearly to express a difference in opinion from what is held by your party to be doctrine, from what is purported by the media to be truth. We have an opportunity to reach out to our fellow Americans regardless of their creed and regardless of their political inclinations and unite as Americans. Not as Republicans or as Democrats, as liberals or conservatives, but to unite around the principles that have guided this nation so well. I've covered a lot of stories, but the story that remains untold is the story of America in the 21st century. When we choose to turn back the tide against progressive socialism, when we choose to embrace the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, when we remember what it is to be Americans. And that principle will not die as long as there's one man, one woman, one child who looks defiantly into the night and says, I am free.
You're listening to the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. The new conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the HoloNet on Lanterns Media Network. The millennial conservative resistance begins here.
Yes, we're back. You're listening to the HoloNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network once again. And as I stated before we went to the break, we have to talk about it. Still no word from Governor Ducey over the replacement for Senator John McCain. Now, according to AZ Central 2 hours ago, Governor Ducey is expected to move quickly on appointing a replacement for Senator John McCain. We'll go to that story real quick. There we go. It's popped up on the big screen. During the year that followed U.S. Senator John McCain's brain cancer diagnosis, Governor Doug Ducey quashed any public discussion of a succession plan for the ailing senator. Now the late senator has been laid to rest at the U.S. Naval Academy. Ducey is expected to move very quickly to appoint McCain's Republican replacement. Once again, I'm going to urge you, go to theholonet.com and check out our recent story. It's entitled, In the Wake of Senator John McCain's Tragic Passing, Here's What Governor Ducey Should Do. I lay out the plan very clearly. Governor Ducey, in order to bring unity to the GOP, in order to salve the wounds of a particularly nasty primary between Congresswoman Martha McSally and former state senator Dr. Kelly Ward and former Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County, the governor should appoint the first runner-up in that race. In this case, that would be State Senator Dr. Kelly Ward. Now, on many of the groups on Facebook that I participate in, that I repost the HoloNet to, there's been widespread support for this notion. I want to know what you think. Check out that story. Leave your comments below. We've actually got several comments on there already. Tell me what you think. Should Governor Ducey appoint Dr. Kelly Ward in order to secure the right flank of the party going into this crucial election against an ever more emboldened Kyrsten Sinema? Kyrsten Sinema, who, by the way, won her primary against local Valley attorney Deidre Aboud in a walk. I mean, crushed Deidre Aboud. Probably butchering that woman's last name. But still, you know, she came away from it with a full war chest. Meanwhile, McSally and Ward were duking it out for months at a time, also dealing with Sheriff Joe Arpaio to the furthest possible right flank, grabbing the Sun City crowd and the people out in Yuma County. Now, we have to look to November. We need a united front, and you need to bring back in the people who have been disenfranchised by what they see as an establishment GOP sweetheart candidate in Congresswoman McSally getting brought to the primary here. And furthermore, McSally's seat, it could wind up being up for grabs here. You can't be a congresswoman and a senator at the same time. got news for you. So either way you slice it, there is going to be political upheaval here in the state of Arizona. Governor Ducey handily defeated former Secretary of State Ken Bennett in his primary challenge. And Ducey is looking at a very energized Democratic Party going into November. I believe Daniel Garcia, who famously bussed in Red for Ed marchers to Phoenix. Yeah, that wasn't political at all. Garcia won the primary. So he will face off against Garcia in November. We need a unified front on the right in order to keep Arizona red. And there is no better way, in my mind, to do so than to appoint Dr. Kelly Ward to fill in Senator McCain's seat. When trouble comes, you circle the wagons. Governor, trouble's knocking. Circle up. Now, now that I've given my commensurate 5 minutes to local Arizona politics, we'll go ahead and move away from that really quick. But going to HoloNet on Facebook right now. Got a couple of people in the stream watching. Thank you for joining us live on facebook.com/theholonet. If you want, you can tweet the show at the HoloNet. It's always a good time there. We get a lot of people from Lanterns Buzz. AJ Davis, like I said, from Common Sense Radio. Also check out his show on lanterns.buzz as well. Defenders of American Exceptionalism, also Stephen Airy, my normal buddy there, my remote producer from lanterns.buzz. Now, we get down to it. Over the past week, Rudy Giuliani has stated, covered in the New York Post and on CNN, there will be a revolt if President Trump is impeached. President Trump's lawyer said Thursday the U.S. citizens would stage a revolution against their own government if the commander-in-chief were to be impeached. Quote, you can only impeach him for political reasons, and the American people would revolt against that, Rudy Giuliani told Sky News while he was in the UK for a golf outing. He also told Sky that Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen was a liar and claimed there was no reason for impeaching the president. Cohen pled guilty to 8 charges in federal court in Manhattan on Tuesday, the same day that Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort was convicted of 8 charges of bank and tax fraud in federal court in Virginia. Under oath, Cohen testified that he helped arrange hush money payoffs to porn actress Stormy Daniels and Playboy centerfold Karen McDougal at Trump's direction. The feds in court documents said they have other evidence, including documents and recordings, that confirmed Cohen's testimony. Trump has denied for months knowing anything about the payments to the pair, who alleged they had affairs with the president a dozen years ago. But he was caught on a recording with Cohen made discussing one of the payments. Trump, in an interview broadcast Thursday, insisted he had done nothing wrong, distanced himself from Cohen, his personal lawyer and self-described fixer, for more than a decade. So here's my question here. Is Giuliani right in that the American people will react very, very poorly to a president being impeached for purely political reasons? Yeah, I think there's something to that. I think the American people would be very, very fed up if the Democratic Party had the unmitigated gall to use what is a legal process to handle a breach of law to impeach a sitting president just because they didn't happen to like him. Need I remind you that 12 years ago was long before President Trump ever became president? If you want to get on the man for having affairs. If you want to get on him for paying off the women who he supposedly had these affairs with, because it's easier than fighting it out in the court of public opinion, I can point to President Clinton. I can point to President Kennedy, the sweetheart of the DNC. These are things that happen. I'm not going to sit here and be a Trump apologist. If he cheated on his wives, which I think in the past is kind of a foregone conclusion, Ivana Trump, anybody paging the former Mrs. Trump? Yeah, we know the president is not very good at being married. That's a fact. But when you think about it, that's not what got him elected. What got him elected was his willingness to fight against the mainstream media, to fight against the government as a whole, as president. We have a president who wants to disrupt the government Think about that for a moment and realize that it's not exactly a bad thing. Now, if you voted for the president based on your morality, then you may need to wake up and smell some roses, because this is not a man who you vote in for his high morality. This is a man you vote in to get it done. So moving along now to something I feel that the president has done and is doing that may be somewhat questionable. Covered in the Jerusalem Post, according to Mahmoud Abbas, President Trump has offered a U.S. peace plan based on confederation with Jordan. Abbas was quoted as saying, "I want a three-party confederation with Jordan and Israel. I am asking Israel to accept such a proposal." Now, this is astonishing. Instead of a one-party solution or a two-party solution, we're now going to a three-party solution? A confederation of the Palestinian territories, Israel, and Jordan. I don't even think Jordan would accept that. This is by Tova Lazaroff and Khalid Abu Toama in the Jerusalem Post just this morning. It says the United States presented Palestinians with a peace deal based on the idea of a confederation with Jordan, the Israeli left-wing organization Peace Now reported Sunday. The group publicized the possibility of a U.S.-led confederation peace plan after it met with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah. Jordan immediately rejected the idea of a Palestinian-Jordanian confederation and said the proposal was not up for negotiations or consideration or discussion. I called that one! Didn't I just? I'm sorry. When you read the headline and go, well, that ain't going to happen, and then it proves out, there you go. Jumana Gwanemat, spokeswoman for the Jordanian government, said Sunday that her country's position toward Palestinian cause remains unchanged and firm and is based on the two-state solution, with the establishment of a Palestinian state on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Gwanemat noted that Jordan's King Abdullah has long affirmed that there is no alternative to the two-state solution. No video or audio clip was released for this meeting, and all information regarding Abbas's statement to this matter was reported out by Peace Now and the parliamentarians who were present. Member of the Knesset Mossi Raz from the Meretz Party and Ksenia Svetlova from the Zionist Union. In the meeting, Abbas referred to a conversation he had with U.S. envoys Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt. The envoys asked me whether I believed confederation with Jordan. I said yes, but I want a triangular confederation with Jordan and Israel, Abbas said. He added rhetorically, I asked the envoys if the Israelis would accept such a proposal. Prime Minister's office has no response to Jerusalem Post query on the matter, and Abbas told the Israeli delegation that he had met with President Trump 4 times, and that during those conversations the American president expressed his support for a vision of 2 states, but that his concept of a Palestinian one was a demilitarized state, and that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization would be responsible for security. So, great big old controversial nothing burger coming from Mahmoud Abbas, once again trying to distract some attention away from the fact that the Palestinian Authority just lost $200 million of funding from the United States. That's what I'm seeing here. Don't look at the story there that President Trump ripped out all of our funding. Look at the fact that we're looking to join a confederacy with Jordan, to which Jordan replies, No, we're really not going to do that. But we want to do that. We want to have a 3-way confederation with Israel. Israel makes no reply, and Jordan says, No, we're really, really not going to do that. It smacks of desperation, doesn't it? The Palestinian state has been revealed for what it is for years now. The American people know what they are dealing with in Israel, and the American people, through the election of President Trump, have soundly rejected the notion of the Palestinian state as a viable nation state. And a one-state solution with Israel is the path forward. Israel is an independent nation. Palestine never has been, is not today, and I don't believe ever will be, nor should it be. There is no Israeli occupation. There's just Israel. Accept political realities, folks. Accept reality. Dear God. And in other news that makes your head want to explode, we need your help. One of our favorite people, our favorite Democratic socialist, Alessandria Ocasio-Cortez, rallies kids in New York to kick out Trump. A video on Twitter shows New York congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez organizing kids in Queens to help rally against the president. Go to that audio now.
Good. Laura's a doer in science, technology, engineering, and math.
Sorry, don't you hate the commercials? Oh, God. Hey, bear with me now. 20 seconds of this unskippable commercial. Thank you, Fox. Really appreciate that. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we go to Cortez.
Adults she can reach out to. So we found this video she posted overnight. She's in Queens, New York, where I'm from, reaching out to kids to rally against the president. Watch this and we'll react.
Nominee for Congress out here, so I'm going to go to D.C. We're going to be fighting Trump.
That's crazy. But we need your help. The kids get so excited about it.
To fight Trump. Are you going to tell your parents? Yeah.
That's crazy. The kids get so excited about that. The kid's jumping around and screaming because she's going to go fight Trump in Washington, D.C. Yeah, this is in New York, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Because I don't like Trump.
You know, Governor, when I was 11 or 12 years old, I just wanted to go to recess.
Yeah, I don't like Trump. Oh, well, we've hit a new low. You know, going to a bunch of school kids, a bunch of, 7th and 8th graders by the look of them. The whole video is blurred out, so you can't see any faces or anything like that. But, very likely in a disenfranchised neighborhood of New York. Saying, we're going to go fight Trump. We need your help to fight Trump. Before asking them to go home and ask anyone who legally can to vote. Oh, and nice move, Fox. You have the big video where the kids' faces are blurred out, and then you scroll down here to the inset. There's their faces! No, we're not doxing anybody at all. Jeez. That's ridiculous. Kids can be heard saying that they don't like the president and that he's deporting people. Exactly, Ocasio-Cortez replies. Now, the other day, it was on Facebook, like I am sometimes, because, I occasionally use the Book of Face. The Faced book. And I had to make a comment. And I'm trying to find that post real fast. Because it was absolutely ridiculous. Here we go. Gallego threatens law enforcement officials. This is an ADI. Here we go. Gallego threatens law enforcement and government officials. Ruben Gallego, Arizona's own, says, if you are a U.S. government official and you are deporting Americans, be warned. When the worm turns, I think he meant the world. Spell check, buddy. When the worm turns, you will not be safe because you were just taking orders. You do not have to take part in illegal acts ordered by the president's administration. He was responding to a tweet from Chris Hayes saying citizens having their papers demanded, then confiscated, then put in detention centers and ordered into deportation proceedings. The historical resonances here are clear as a bell. I had to respond. The dissonance here is clear as a bell because illegal immigrants, by definition, are not citizens. Chris Hayes, citizens are not having their papers demanded, then confiscated, and then being put into detention centers. Illegal immigrants are being put into detention centers. Dear God, man. Are you capable of it? I said, obvious dissonance here. Illegal immigrants are not citizens by definition. Just saying. Thanks to Jim for posting that up. And let me see where that was. That was actually Patriot Movement AZ posted that up. Jim on Patriot Movement AZ. Good call out on that. I had to respond to it. And there's like 50 other comments on there. Somebody said, no one is deporting Americans. Back in the 80s, a very popular Mexican group wrote a song that to this day people play. It talks about how everyone is American no matter where you are born and how borders don't exist. Sorry, not true. Everyone is not American. Borders absolutely do exist. That's a thing. That's how you have a sovereign nation. But yeah, this is Ruben Gallego, folks. This is a congressman threatening American law enforcement, saying that you will not be safe because you were just following orders. You do not have to take part in illegal actions ordered by this president's administration. What illegal actions? Enforcement of the border is not illegal. In fact, it is one of the first legal things that the government has done on the border, specifically in Arizona, in like 20 years. Fast and Furious, anybody? Anyway, I'm getting all fired up today. And this is what usually happens. I get all fired up. I get the bile going, fire in my belly, and our hour's pretty much up. So, folks, happy Labor Day to you. Did a little looking in our Labor Day history, and Labor Day celebrates the early gains of the labor movement here in the United States. Brought to you the 40-hour work week. Brought to you legislation that forbade children from working in the factories anymore. Brought you OSHA safety requirements and all that fun stuff. But I want to caution you. Everybody loves a day off. I love a day off. You love a day off of work. But the AFL-CIO is going to point to their founding fathers for having created the concept of Labor Day, for have gotten that legislation through and created that public holiday honoring the American worker. Honoring the American worker is great. Honoring the gains that were made by the labor union back when they were a force for good is great. But make no mistake, the modern labor movement in the United States, the AFL-CIO, the CWA, the Teamsters, organized labor as a whole, has fallen victim to what every superhero and every hero indeed fears. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And unions in this country, in alliance with Democrats and Democratic Socialists, have long become the villain. They were originally formed to fight corruption and graft and be a voice for the working man and woman. Now, they are an oppressive force to the working man and woman. They take away dues and fail to support and enforce quality agreements that protect the working man and woman. The working man and woman in this country is far better off individually negotiating their own terms in a right-to-work state than they are working in a union shop. Where I sit, Arizona, right-to-work state. Proof of that. You look just to our west at California, a state that organized labor has in its back pocket. You don't see many businesses opening up there. So put it correctly in perspective and honor the groundbreaking work that the labor movement did at its inception. Remember when they were a force for good, but don't let the wool be pulled over your eyes. Don't believe the propaganda that says, while you're on Labor Day, thank a union man. While you're on Labor Day, think about the union situation. And realize that all movements tend to create a world where they should no longer exist. Robespierre, anyone? Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Thanks for listening.